Do you like your alone time? Do you secretly love when people cancel plans on you? Is your ideal night watching a movie alone with popcorn or candy and maybe under the influence if you're of age, of course? Do you like to wear clothes that embrace your body better than any lover ever could? Do you like Nickelback? Did you cry even just a little bit when you watched Toy Story 3? Are you not homophobic? Do you think cannibalism is pretty bad? Do you think that people that eat pineapple on pizza deserve a VIP access ticket to Satan's cellar? If you said yes to any of these, I got the thing for you. And it's my new Auto by Chris clothing line Introvert Social Club drop. And it's only available for a limited time. So go to autobychris.com to get yours. Embrace who you are, and just make sure other people know you don't want to talk to them. So join the club. And if you said no to all of these, I don't trust you, and I don't want your business. And you're probably a criminal. So... Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I figured we'd do kind of like a little story time. I have had so many different jobs. I don't even know if I can get through them all. I think this video would be like an hour long, but I'm gonna do my most like notable jobs. I'm gonna go from the beginning until now. I mean, I'm super blessed to be where I am right now. I never thought I'd be a YouTuber for a living, which is crazy, and I want to thank you guys. I appreciate you so much. Wouldn't be here without you. But I have been working since I was 12 years old, and I've had weird jobs with even weirder stories, so let's get into it. Alright, to set the scene. Little Christina is 12 years old and needs money to buy Shania Twain CDs. And what job is available that isn't illegal at 12? Babysitting, I think. I don't know. You know, that's the first job that I feel like most people do, is babysitting. I was babysitting for a while for this lady, I gotta be really discreet about this, who had 5 children under the age of 10. Did I mention I was 12 going on to 13? But one story I have from that is that this lady, she was very rich, very rich, okay? So these kids were spoiled as shit. Meanwhile, I'm eating leftovers from 4 days ago. These kids have a different dinner for each of them. Like, they're the pickiest kids. So I was not having a good time anyway. But at the time, I already had 3 younger siblings, so I was used to taking care of kids. But I'm in this lady's house, and I was trying to make a smoothie for one of the kids, and this blender, I now have found out, is almost like $500, which to a 12 to 13-year-old is like, it's basically $1 million, right? I ended up blending, I don't know how, but a giant piece of plastic from the blender in it, and I broke the blender. And then the mom came home, and I blamed it on the kid. I didn't have that kind of money, okay? I just jetted out of there. I'm like, little f***er broke your blender, and I f***ing bolted. Never babysitted for them again. Didn't last long. I figured out real quick I didn't really like taking care of kids, probably why I'm not gonna have my own. Or if I do, I'd probably just adopt like a 17-year-old at this point. That was my first job, and it wasn't terrible. It wasn't that bad. And then I was just a kind of a built-in babysitter for my mom at that age, me and my older sister, whenever she needed to go work. But you know, it is what it is. My second job, I also started at 13. I was a house cleaner, a maid, if you will. And I continued being a maid almost until I did YouTube. From 13 and onward, I always had 2 jobs, and I was always cleaning houses or like residential properties. And I started doing that with my mom's friend. I was making like $8 an hour, and I was like, but it was a premium job because I just got to put my headphones in, listen to my murder podcasts on my little Walkman, and I could just clean shit. I didn't really care. Like, I mean, I had chores at home. I was like doing that just for other people. I didn't really give a shit. And I have so many stories. There's so many crazy people out there. Like, there was some ladies that would put like pennies or nickels under lamps or little things to make sure that you were lifting them up and cleaning them. And then naturally you'd move the penny or nickel. And then I got in trouble because this lady thought that I was stealing the nickel from under the lamp, but I just put it like back in a coin jar, and then I got fired from that job. She literally thought I stole like 3 nickels, and she's like, "You're out." I wish I did steal those fucking nickels. But fast forward a couple years, I was 15, 16, and I had made my own cleaning business at that point with a girlfriend. We were at this one house, a bachelor's house, and little maybe trigger warning, a lot of these stories end in some sort of sexual harassment of some sort, which is, you know, terrible, but I kind of laugh at it now. But anyway, we were at this bachelor's house. He was always kind of weird. He kind of kept to himself. Whatever, we're cleaning. And then he like passively just kind of says, he's just like, you know, you can make a lot more money if you did this topless. And I was like, sir, I'm 15 years old. And I was just like, no. And I walked out, and I definitely didn't think about it for like 2 seconds. No, I had morals. That really set the tone for men for me at a young age. Needless to say, he was fired as a client. Job number 3, a Mazda Receptionist. At this point, I was still doing cleaning, but I had also taken up a job at 17 as a Mazda Receptionist. And if you don't know what a Mazda is, it is a very reasonably affordable car. It was a car company, and I basically, it is what it is. I was a receptionist. I was in high school, but I would do that on the weekends, and for house cleaning, I would just do that like after school hours and that kind of thing. But on the weekends, I would go be a receptionist at Mazda. It was a super whatever job. I answered phone calls. I did not know, to this day, still didn't know how to transfer a call. Like, I had to get the salesman to come up and be like, you have a call on line 1. He's like, okay, just transfer it over. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And they're like, oh, okay, whatever. I never learned how to do that. They somehow let me deal with like thousands of dollars because people would buy cars, right? Some people would like give checks, cash, whatever, and I was responsible. I was 17. I don't give a I didn't take anything, but I probably didn't count it right. I mean, it was pretty chill. The lot boys always hung around the desk, hit on me or whatever, and that was like whatever. But the creepy thing is like there was older salesmen like in their like 50s or 60s, and at this time, you know, I'm 17, and there was this one, it was this one always would come up and like rub my shoulders and like tell me to wear skirts to work, and I was like, I'm gonna go. And at the time, I was like so naive as a kid, but it's crazy, like the amount of times that like older men thought it was okay to say these kind of things. And like looking back, I'm like, wow, that really wasn't okay. And at the time, I'm just like playing it off like, oh, Steve, you're crazy. And then it's just like, oh God, no, that was concerning. But I left that job shortly after. But I did have a Mazda for years and years, and I actually just got rid of my Mazda because fuck you, Mazda. Now I got a Dodge Ram truck because I'm stepping up in the world. Job number 4 was a frozen berry factory line worker. All right, really took a step down. Still cleaning at this time, but my friend's dad owned the berry factory, and it's about as luxurious as you think it is. And when I say you work on the line, basically for 8 to 9 hours a day, I would sit on a stool, and there would be a conveyor belt with different kinds of berries that went down the conveyor belt, and I would just pick out sticks, leaves, slugs, dead frogs, other organisms that you probably don't want to know about that are probably in your berries in your fridge right now. Please rinse your fucking berries. It's bad. And the amount of shit that I missed, like I'd be like, oh shit, there's a dead raccoon, I missed it. But I was literally doing this all day. Like, I would look up and I would just see shit flying by like this. But the fun part of that job is that on my lunch breaks, I would go with my friend up to the attic and we would just throw knives at this cork wall. It was fun. I think I got paid like $10 an hour at that job. It was not worth it at all. But the knife throwing was fun. And I left that job as well because my boss, which was not my friend's dad at the time, took me on a private tour up to the top like scaffolding of the whatever of the factory, and he tried to make a pass at me, and he was also in his late 50s, and at the time I was very aware of what was happening. At this time I was like, oh, I'm just getting into 18, and I was like, that. Never went back to that job. I lasted like, I don't know, like 3 months, like over the summer, so super fun. After that, it was a job, but I volunteered as a softball coach for a couple years, actually. So a lot of these jobs like intermingle with each other, but I was a softball coach for my little sister's team, which at the time she was in grade 11 and going into grade 12, and me and my older sister Jessica were coaches for my little sister's softball team, and it was so fun. It was so fun and awesome, and I used to play softball, and so did my older sister. We both got full ride scholarship opportunities, which we both ended up passing on because I went for soccer. But my little sister was so talented at softball, and she ended up going to Texas for softball in the later years for full ride university. But it was so fun. Like, we got to travel all together all the time to the States, all around Canada, to do like tournaments and that kind of thing. And even though it was for free, it was like really cool to have that opportunity to just like spend time with my family, because I hadn't spent time with them like that before. So that was a really cool job. The tanning salon. And yes, I know I am very pale, but at the time my older sister worked at the tanning salon, so I kind of had a shoe in at that job, and I just lost, I wasn't working at the berry factory anymore, kind of slowing down with the cleaning stuff, so I was like, I need another job. And at this time, I was just getting into university as well, and I had a varsity scholarship for soccer, so I was really, really busy, so I needed like a really flexible job, and the tanning salon was it. And you're basically just like a salesman and receptionist. You just sit there and you just like put people in beds and just bake them, It was pretty easy, and I didn't really care about that job either. And also, I almost got fired because I was too pale. Like, legit, like my boss got so mad at me because I wouldn't use the beds because I burn really easily, even if I like start at a really low temperature and everything. So she said that I had to spray tan or I would lose my job, which like I understand to a certain capacity, but then I'm also like, bitch, like I would see the people that walked in there, okay? All of them look like leather bags. Like I'm like, I don't want to look like that. But it wasn't a terrible job. I had fun. I worked there with one of my best friends at the time, and we had a good time. I've referenced the story about us playing soccer in the hallway at that job, and it was good. And at that job, we ended up opening a lash salon that was attached to it. My job was a lash technician. And this is a job I actually really, really enjoyed because I get like really hyper fixated when I'm doing something I like, and that's exactly what a lash tech does. And if you don't know what a lash technician is, this is what it is. So basically, you're just putting lash extensions, a false lash extension on a lash, and it's very, very tedious, and it honestly takes like quite a bit of skill. You have to be like ambidextrous and really patient and have a really still hand, but I really enjoyed it. I was pretty good at it, but we were getting like so ripped off as technicians. The materials to put on were like maybe a couple bucks, and then I was making like, I don't know, like $15 off of like one set, and then the set would cost almost $200. The salon was profiting so much, and at that point I was like, why the am I doing this for these people? So I was like, doses, and I went out of there and I started a business out of my home. So I started doing lashes at home. It was the best thing I ever did, and it was awesome, and I gained a clientele, and it was really fun. I learned how to be an entrepreneur and a business owner and stuff, which I was still doing kind of, and at the same time as all this, I'm still a house cleaner. So I still had my own house cleaning business as well, and I really figured out that I really wanted to like work for myself. That's when I knew. I was like, I really want to work for myself for a living. And then we get to where I dropped out of university. I was in university for 2 years, but I was just really overwhelmed, and I didn't really know why I was in school at that time, and I was really loving working for myself. So I was like, you know what, I traveled for a couple months on my own dime. I took like a couple $1,000 and went to Asia for a couple months and was just like eating a meal a day and like trying to get by, but it was so fun. And then I came back and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a trade. So I ended up going to hairdressing school. So I went to hairdressing school, I graduated, and I started working at the salon that I graduated from, and then also became a hair instructor. And I did enjoy instructing, but I had to drive 2 hours to get out to that job. Again, it was like working at a salon as a hairdresser. I'm sure some of you are hairdressers. It's rough, like money-wise and that kind of thing. So I was really struggling. Like the amount of gas I would like break even basically, because I would be spending so much money on gas and insurance. And then when I got out there, if like I only had 1 or 2 clients for the day or whatever, if it was slow, then it was just sucked. So I was like, you know what, I'm doing lashes at home, which I was also doing at the time, and I had a cleaning business at the time, so I had 3 jobs at that time. So I was like, I'm just gonna do hair at home as well. So I got some rinky-dinky supplies and I just called every person I knew, which wasn't a lot. But then I started doing hair at home, and word of mouth traveled, and I started to be really successful at home with hair and lashes. And I had some interesting clients and I had some not so interesting clients. I had like every walk of life come in, and that's kind of where I've gotten a lot of my material from and skits from, because I've met and experienced so many types of people, and it was really cool. I was like proud of myself for like having my own little business, and this was just in my parents' basement suite, by the way. I wasn't in like some fancy salon. I wish I was. So yeah, I was doing that, and it was doing really well. And then 2020 happened, and my business completely fell apart. I had to close my doors, and I had no money, and it was really scary. And I know that was the case for a lot of people, and there was a stint of time there, and this was also at a time where I was not doing well mentally, so it was shit. But a couple months after all that happened, my little brother, shout out to Jacob, convinced me to download TikTok, and then I started making TikToks just for fun. Never expected any of this to happen, but yeah. And then a few months after TikTok started to take off, I came to YouTube because I really wanted to get to know my audience more and just offer you guys a little bit more than just my character skits associates, and you guys have welcomed me with open arms and have given me this incredible job that I can be creative and entertain you and make you laugh, and it's been a whirlwind and it's been so awesome, and I will do this as long as you guys allow me to do this for you guys. But coming from the little 12-year-old who was babysitting and had a little cleaning company to being where I am now is really amazing. So yeah, those are all the jobs that I did up until this point. Maybe I'll be a, sanitation engineer next year. I don't know what's happening. I'm just riding the wave and I'm doing my best, man. And to all of you out there, I can't express how grateful I am to you, and I just appreciate you a lot. You make my job so incredibly enjoyable. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you liked the video and learning a little bit more about me, and I will see you in the next one. Okay? Bye.